right. Um, we are going to get started. I hope you guys are doing well. At least in here, the weather seems to be a lot better, so things are looking better. So, okay, so today's the fourth session. Um, we have covered English, math, reading so far. Today I'll be starting with science. Um, Starting, I would say next week, things will really ramp up in terms of difficulty. Math was already difficult last week, as you guys noticed that, but things will definitely start getting difficult. Now, couple of quick reminders. You guys have to do the homework. Looks like everybody seems to have done it. Second is if you're taking the April or the June test, April 6th is a ACT review. You don't want to miss that one. So remind your parents. Third thing is you have to register for the April test. If you are planning to take the April test, now is a good time to do that. What I'm also going to do is I'm just going to go through the roster quick, just to make sure who's here right now. Kyra, Nisha, Nisha, are you there? I see your name. Okay. Alina, Vanessa, you're here. Akshay, he's not here. Tyra, yep. Aiden, Ben, Bailey,
Here.
Eloise,
Here.
Connor, Elaine,
Here.
Tate. Yeah, okay. So we are missing few students. So, okay. All right. So today we're going to get started with the science portion. Is there anyone here who have not taken the real real ACT test? Anybody online, face to face?
I haven't.
Okay. Looks like everybody else have taken it, right? So I can tell you one thing, and you might have already experienced it, that when you get to science, you will be tired. And needless to say, if you're not prepared, if you don't take it seriously, you'll be in for a big ride, big surprise. And I remember I had a student, she lives in Sioux City. That was her first time taking the ACT test. Very, very good student. Had a 35 in English, 34 in science, 35 in reading, but a 24 in science. She didn't practice, she was tired, she just almost gave up. And that I've seen that many times. So needless to say, I really want you to understand that science is no joke. It's very, very quick, and you need to be really, really be focused. With that, we start with ACT Science today. So if you just need your notes to write down stuff. Almost all of our students, I would say 98% of our students know our procedures, they follow it, they religiously follow it, they have done really well. The biggest problem here is the students who have not done well have two reasons they have not done well. One, they didn't practice, which is 70%. The remaining 30% is they didn't consistently apply the strategies we're going to talk today. You have to practice. Not just the science portion of it, the full practice test. And I'm going to be pushing, starting 2024, we had a lot of data to look into, and I'm going to really push the concept of full practice test. If you don't take the full practice test, it doesn't help you guys. You have to take at least 5 before you take the April test. 5 full practice tests. So, just like reading, ACT Science has 35 minutes, 40 questions. So if you do the math, it comes out to 52.5 seconds per question. This is exactly the same for reading. You absolutely have no time. It used to be 7 passages, now it is 6 passages. So the number of questions per passage is usually 6 or 7 questions per passage. This is the last section of the test. If you're taking the ACT writing, you'll have one more section after that, but this is the main one for the English, math, reading, science, in that order. I want to make sure you understand this. People have asked me this question many times. Is it a science test that do I have to know chemistry? Do I have to know biology? Do I have to know physics? No, it's not a science test. This is a science reasoning test. Science reasoning test. What does it mean? That means they have given the information and you should comprehend that information and you have to analyze the data and answer it. Yes, it's not going to hurt you to have a prior knowledge. It definitely doesn't hurt you. But I remember there was a girl from Omaha. She was not our student. 7th grade, got a perfect 36 in science. In 7th grade. So it shows that you don't have to have the knowledge. Science reasoning test, not a science test. There are two key words to remember to be successful in science. Kind of applies to reading as well, but mainly for science. Practice, full test, plus focus during the test. And this is what it boils down to. I really believe a lot of my students did not get a good score, better than what they should have got, is because they did not do either one of them. I've seen better focus lately compared to during COVID times. I'm seeing an improvement. Students have been reporting that, but this is in decline. This is definitely in decline. And I always hear the reasons as, I am busy, I don't have time. Well, let me tell you something. You make time. This is your priority. You have to make time because every 1 point net increase in ACT in composite is around $10,000 in scholarship. Simple. Simple. You don't make this priority, somebody else will. Somebody else will get that money. Somebody else will get that admissions. So, and I have taught 7,000 students at New Horizon. I've seen it all. The last thing I want to hear from you is you don't have time. I'm a college president. I run this company. I teach. I have a family. But I make it a priority. I've been teaching 2 hours before I came here, by the way. And then I finish this and I have a 3-hour meeting. So, if I can do it, you sure can do it. Question is it a priority to you guys? Is it something you want it? And if you just want it, that's not enough. Do you put efforts for it? I remember 2021 fall semester, we had a student who had a 25 ACT. She was a senior. She had to get a better score in science. She had a 25. Everything else was looking good for her, the English, the math, reading. That she was not our students before. She was a good student, but science she struggled. When she attended to the fall semester, took our program and attended all the science strategies, she loved it so much. She practiced so much. She went from a 25 to a 34. A 9-point increase. She was from Heelan. She went from 9. It was a 9-point increase and her scholarship went up by $68,000 and also got into Notre Dame. So, again, you have to think calmly and decide for yourself, where is my priority? Would I want this for myself? And I'm being damn serious. This is something I usually don't spend so much time on this, but based on what I'm seeing last year, I'm more frustrated now than ever before. And I don't have to. I can just teach and leave. I've never done that. And I want you guys to actually tell this to your parents, what Manoj just talked about. The frustration is the full practice test. Okay? And you have to make time. If you don't make time, somebody else will. That's what I'm saying. And I would rather have my own students do well. Fair enough? So you have a choice. You definitely have a choice. Next. We all know that 35 minutes goes really, really fast. So in math, we know that question number 1 is easy, question number 60 is difficult. We have a linear trend. So if I plot a graph for math, ACT math, from question number 1 to 60, the difficulty level usually is like this, okay? You can do a best fit line, has a positive slope, increases. I've seen this. I have hardly ever seen a difference to it. Maybe one question outliers here and there. This has been consistent. So you start from the first 20, you go to the next 20, you go to the next 20. Simple. Strategy is go from left to right. Right? Nothing much to think. Science is not like that. Science is based on passages, and each passage can be all over the place. Some can be easy, some can be difficult. But you don't have time to figure that out. So today we'll be talking about the strategies about selecting the passages and what it takes to be successful in science. Now, remember, passage 1 to passage 6. Difficulty level can vary from first being the very easy, second being very easy, okay, third being again easy, fourth very difficult, fifth very, very difficult, and sixth very easy. Or passage 1 very difficult, passage 2 easy, passage 3 difficult, 4, 5, 6. You understand what I'm trying to get to. It's all over the place, and it depends on each individual test. So there are two ways to work on science. One, individual science test practice, but the one that makes a difference is a full test. So you need to do both. Today's plan is to talk about the strategies that help you to select what passages to do first, and then build on the momentum, because it's all about confidence. So I'm going to repeat this several times today, and you may get tired of me hearing. I cannot emphasize the importance of this. And I get really tired of students saying, oh my God, I ran out of time. You know why you ran out of time? Because you couldn't stay focused, because you didn't practice. Sounds good? Our best students have done 8 full practice tests. That's who have done before they took the test. So they know how it feels, right? They know how it feels. So what strategies are we going to talk about? So your supervisors will tell you to start the science test. You're ready to go. I hope you'll have a watch to kind of see your time. The first 45 seconds, you have to scan all 6 passages. Literally by flipping the pages. And I know that ACT is going to go online sometime next year or so. That's what they were saying. Hopefully they don't. But then you'll have a little headache here on this one. And we'll have to change our strategies at the time. But as of right now, this is good. Best of our best students have taken 25 seconds. Because they have done it so many times, they know how it feels. Your job is to select select the first two, select the two passages based on the following criteria. Least reading, more graphs, pictures, less tables, and the discussion type should be done last. There's no ifs and buts about it. You just practice this way and this is what you do in the real test. Sounds good? I want you to read this on what is on the whiteboard for a couple minutes. Just read through this, please. And one of the biggest problem we are facing is students not asking questions in the science, especially today, so that I can bring in the experience from the previous other students. I can share them, but that can only happen when you guys ask questions to us. Okay, so make it an interactive class so you learn what not to do. Okay. Okay, so you're ready to start the test. You do not know which passages, how it is, right? You really don't have time, but you definitely want to start with easy ones so it builds the confidence. It's all about momentum. So we have worked on strategies that seem to have worked for over long periods of time. We've been doing this for this we implemented in 2010, so it's been almost 14 years. Before that, we had different strategy. You want to look at the passage which has least amount of reading first. Second, more graphs the better. More pictures the better. Okay? Get to those. Third, tables do not prefer tables. But if you have to prefer tables eventually, there are two types of tables you'll have to deal with. Large tables versus small tables. You want to prefer small tables. Word-based tables versus data number-based tables. You prefer small data tables. Two small tables are better than one large table. Remember, you do not prefer tables, okay? Tables should be pushed to the last, but eventually you will get those. So let's say you have two passages, one has one large table and one has two small tables. So you want to prefer two small tables. And it's not in certain criteria, it's not in certain order that you have to go this was, no. This is a combination of things, okay? Your judgment comes into picture, okay? So if you want to make a comment for yourself, write it down. This is not in certain order here. That's the only thing that's in order is the last one called the discussion type. This has to be last. They also call this as conflicting viewpoint passages. conflicting viewpoint passages. You definitely would want to do it last. Yeah, one time actually it turned out to be a very easy one. Yeah. But that's an exception. You just don't have time to figure this out. Now, please remember in the 45 seconds you're doing this, you're not reading the passage. You're getting a feel of the passage. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're getting a feel of the passage, not read the passage. Last year, after a long time, we had a very good question in science, and I wanna volunteer that question for you guys. So Manoj, I select this, and I start with the first passage. It went well. The second one I selected turned out to be, the passage was easy, like it looked easy, but the questions were hard. What do I do at the time? At that time, you're gonna skip the entire passage. You with me on this? You are gonna skip the entire passage. Has it happened? Yes, it has happened. Once per entire 6 ACTs or 7 ACTs I've seen, our students have done a good job of following this criteria, but have been stuck on a passage. You do not have to complete that passage. Sounds good? I'm not talking about 1 or 2 questions. I'm talking about the entire, and you'll feel it. The question was, the passage was about a human genome project. It was a human genome passage. And it had only one line, and it had only one line and pictures. So everybody like, okay, well, that's what we want. They started, it turned out to be very difficult. Sounds good? So I repeat, you do not force yourself to finish the passage if you feel the entirety of the passage is difficult. You with me on this? It includes comprehension, it includes understanding of the passage itself, the concept itself, it can be the type of question itself, it can be anything. This is the first time we are answering that question publicly. Usually it used to be like a hint, but this time we want to make sure it's on clearly mentioned. I'm going to repeat, you have to select only 2 passages, only 2 at a time. So you select 2, you answer those 2 passages, you come back to it, and then you select the next 2. So it's 2, 2, 2. Sounds good? People always ask me, why not 6? Because I just answered that reason. What happens if the one you selected was not too tough and you have to skip it? It throws the whole monkey wrench into the situation. Do 2 at a time, and they also get some breather time. Third, all the focus here is on selecting the passage, not working on the questions. Sounds good? Do not read the passage when you're doing this. Next point. Do not read the passage. I want everybody to get the red book, please. I want everybody to get the red book. Excellent. Open page 80. Sorry. Open page 80. 80. don't start or do anything, just all right. Here's what's going to happen. Again, you guys are doing this for the first time. I'm not worried about right, wrong answers. I'm worried about whether you can understand this today and correctly apply it to your logic, okay? Now remember, in the real test, there's no... Sorry?
What page was it?
80. On this book.
Okay, thank you.
So in the real test, you have nobody else to compare with, right? So you're making judgment that's good for you. But we're gonna practice enough that here's the hope. 4 in 5 New Horizons students would select the first 3 passages correctly. If we can do that, we're in a good position. 4 in 5 students get the first passage, 3 passages correctly. That's the goal. So today is today we are doing this for the first time. You're supposed to take 45 seconds. I'm gonna give you guys additional 15 seconds. So 60 seconds. What you have to do is to select only the 2. It can be 2, 1, 1, 5, 3, 4, whatever it is. Only 2. Your time starts now. Use your judgment. Use common sense. Know the rules. You have time today, so even if you're done, just think about it. Think about it. Every second in science and reading matters. Thumbs up. I'm gonna give students online, anybody, if you want to volunteer, what is the 2 passages you have selected? This is where your interaction really matters to me. There's so much only you can do. Anybody online? Okay. Didn't hear any. You guys have to speak up. If you're texting, if you're messaging me, I'm not able to read those. So I see some message pop up, but I just can't be able to focus on that. I hope you guys have the microphones.
I did passage 1 and 3. No, 1 and 2.
1 and 2, okay. How many did 1 and 2? So we have 1, 2 here, 3, total 3. Okay, that's good. That's a good way to start. Okay, here anybody else had other than 1 and 2? Any other combinations? There's no right, wrong answer. Yeah.
I did 3 and 2.
3 and 2. How many had 3 and 2? Okay, next.
I had 3 and 5.
How many had 3 and 5? 1, 2, 3. Anybody online? 4. So, first was 1 and 2. Vanessa, what was yours?
3 and 2.
1 and 2. 3 is definitely the first one you should be doing. Graphs are better. There's a little reading and there's a picture. I would do 3. I'm okay with 3 and 5, okay? You said 3 and 2, right?
Yeah.
3 is definitely okay, but 2, okay, okay. I'm okay with 3, 2. 1 and 2, I'm not okay so far. Any other combinations? I want you guys to learn. I want to know how you think. So if you don't speak up, there's nothing I can do. Yeah,
For 5, is it just that the tables are like a lot smaller?
smaller.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to do starting this year, and this is after 15 years, I am telling you, we're going to be very particular about this. Usually I am, but this is like, that small of a difference can make a difference. But I'm not saying it's going to be between a 30 and 36, it can be different between 30 and 31. Every point, 1 point matters. Any other combinations? So how about this? Do other people agree to 3 and 5 being a better one? You guys, if you don't like it, you guys have to rebuttal. This is how college is. College, we don't, in college, students are not there sitting and accepting what the professor says. They are going to challenge the professor with rhyme and reason, of course. So if you don't feel like 1 is better, or 2 is better, or 6 is better, whatever it is, prove it. But I just don't want to, you guys to suck it up just because Manoj is agreeing to 3, 5. Yeah.
For me,
Uh-huh.
I just kind of think like when I see like study 1, study 2, study 3, I don't know. I just like feel like that's a little bit more difficult for me personally compared to like.
Which
just
one you
like-
selected? 3 and 2, right?
Yeah, but 5 was more like the one with multiple different studies.
Okay. Okay. So my question to you, Vanessa, is: so when you start practicing the test, do you want to stick to that thing, or do you want to? Are you not sure?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Stay there. We'll come to a conclusion soon.
Okay.
If you're so, we had a student. Student was Sioux City, actually, North High. She did exactly opposite to our strategy. She wanted to do this one first because she always read well. She was excellent in reading. She ended up getting a 36 in science. What we teach, our strategies, has worked for 98%. That's why I say 98%. Those 2%, if you have any other strategy, use it. What I'm worried about is if you're confused, then neither here nor there, and that's when it starts really hurting, and it's going to be a 4-point difference. That's a lot. Okay. Anything else for? So, are you agreeing to 3, 5? Okay. Let's hold on to our thoughts. Go to the page 80 at the top. Write down 3, 5 so that we can all be on the same page. Write it down 3, 5 so that we are all on the same page. Again, in the real test, trust me, you have nobody. You have to go with your instinct at that time. But what did I say? My goal is 4 in 5 students at the end of this semester should be matching the first 3, 4 in 5. Otherwise, we have a problem. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys 25 seconds to decide the next 2, assuming 3, 5 is done. The next 2, go. Time's up. So 3, 5 is done. Again, we're working as a consensus here. What's the next 2 you have selected? And it can be somebody else. Let's see.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. How many have 1 and 2? 1, 2. Okay. 3. Any other combinations? Yeah.
2 and 6.
How many have 2 and 6? 1, 2. Any other combinations? Yeah.
6, 1.
How many have 6, 1? 1, 2, 3. So what did you say, Connor?
1 and 2.
2. Okay. Ben, what did he say?
2, 6.
I'm okay with 1 and 2. I'm okay with 1 and 2. So any other comments? I'm okay with 1 and 2. I'm also okay with 2 and 6 and 6 and 1. I'm okay with that too. It's gonna find edge. So we need to come to a conclusion as a team. What do you guys think? Is it 1, 2, 2, 6, 6, 1? Now let's come to a consensus. In the real test, we don't have to worry about this. Yeah.
I would just say 6-1 because 6 has a graph and 1 is all data.
Okay. You have to make your point. You have to win your case. It's easy for me to tell what I'm gonna do. So it won't help you at the time. Fight for it, yeah.
I think passage 2 is probably easier than 1 because it's two small tables compared to like a bigger table and one really small table.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Which one, sorry?
1 and 2, the difference be 2 would be better because 2 small tables compared to like 1 bigger table and 1 really small table.
Yeah, table 2 is pretty big actually. And you can see there's small numbers, right? And you can, so, okay. So, should we all say that compared to 1 and 2, 2 is better? Okay. How about 2 and 6? This is part of practice. You'll be doing it so fast by the end of the semester. Just a practice.
I think 2, maybe? I don't know.
Okay?
There's more reading in 6,
Mhm.
but there's also a graph in
Mhm.
6.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more like tables and graphs.
This is such a close one, right? And you'll be lucky if you get a situation like this, because then you won't actually make a whole lot of errors. Yeah.
I think 2 is probably faster too because.
Which one?
I
2?
think 2 is probably faster because including with 6, there's also a picture and then the studies, but you also have to study the picture as well than just the 2 tables.
Given my, let's say now, let me tell you what I would have done for this, okay? Again, I would have done 2-1. That's what I would have done, 2-1. And I can prove my point. So, here's the reason. Reading wise, let's do passage 1, 2, and 6. Just a reading. Do you agree that 2 and 1 has almost the same reading? Agreed. Passage 1 and 2 both have tables. Okay? Do you agree? Passage 1 has table 2, which is pretty big. Okay? Passage 6 has study 1, study 2, which you talked about. So based on this and lots of my years of practice doing this, I would have done 2 and 1. Are we okay with that? And remember, 6 is pretty damn close. I'm not kidding. But we still want to go that practice 2, 2, 2 practice. So let's do 3, 5, 2, 1. Well, the next one will be very easy because we know it's going to be 6 and 4. So write it down 6, 4 because in the real test, you'll have to decide on the 6, 4 as well. But we have done enough discussion. So this is what we call a science code, that you have to understand that the first 3 are not good, the next 3 will be hell. And I can tell you this for sure. To be good at the last 3, you should have done this. The first 3 will not change your score. The last 3 will change your score. Fair enough? I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes to go back and review these 6 passages and still think about these 3, 5, 2, 1, 6, 4. Okay one, or pretty close to good one. I have no doubt about 3, for example. It's like has to be the first one. If you do pick anything else, you're off to a slow start.
The one thing with 6, like all the answer choices are super wordy. So
But you cannot go to answer choices. You cannot make the decision based on answer choice and the type of questions. And that's a great example I was talking about where you find out, oh, this is not the right one. This is when you forget the whole thing. But if you start going to the questions, the type of answers, then the 45 seconds rule fails. You'll just fail, and you'll be so flustered at the time. You guys good? Remember, we're coming to a consent. This is actually a pretty, and I have to be honest, I've never done this passage before. This is the first time I have seen it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Go to page number 370. This I've done many times. So now we are gonna follow the real test situation, okay? Real test field to us, where we're gonna get 45 seconds max. Your time starts now. Select the two passages, 45 seconds max. Time's up. All right. Anybody online? What are the first two you have selected?
I selected 2 and 6.
How many have 2 and 6? Raise your hands.
I have like 6 and 2.
Okay. So the next point of discussion is 2 6 same as 6 2. Technically not for us because the first passage has to be into, but we'll decide that. So let's go with 2 6 6 2. We're okay right now. Anybody? So 2 6, 2 6 or 6 2, and okay. Any other combinations? Yeah.
6-3.
How many have 6 3? 1 2 3 4. Yeah.
3 5.
How many have 3 5? We're not doing well, by the way. Let me tell you, if we're all over the place. Yeah, 3
I have 6 5.
6 5. We're making it worse, right? That's okay. This is how you learn. Anybody else? This is how you learn, by making this type of errors, mistakes. There's no right, wrong answer here, right? It's about judgment. Okay. So let's go. What is the first one? He said 6 2. 2 6 or 6 2? He said
2 6.
He said 2 6. Okay. Ooh, okay. Absolutely no brainer. 6 is the first one. Absolute no brainer. And you guys should have got this. 6 has to be. 3 graph, linear simple graph, right? And a little reading. So how many have 6 as the first one? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. There is no doubts about that one. What is this? You said 2, right? Okay. Elaine, what did you say? What was your thing?
6-3.
I would have done 6 3. How many have 3 6 or 6 3? 1, 2, 3. Anybody online?
Me.
4. Okay. I have a problem with 2. Yes, it looks small. Look at the first table. B, B, E, E, B, E, E, E. Look at that, right? That's where they trick you guys. That's where they trick you. So they seem nice and cute. Okay, they screw you later. You would never want to fall for this. And passage 2 is an ideal example where you need to be careful. You fell, I think some fell for the trap here. Again, I don't know if it's easy or not. I don't know, it might turn out to be the easy passage. But look how hard it is to focus in the stress you're in. Just by looking at it, it's like, you have this same alphabets, lowercase, uppercase, right? That's how they can create the tension in you. It looks easy, you fall for it. I'm gonna give you guys 20 seconds. We have selected 6, 3. You have to select the next two. Your time starts now. 20 seconds. The next two. Time's up. Let's open it here. 6, 3, then what? Pick. Yeah.
I had 5 too.
How many have 5, 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any other combinations?
I had 5-1.
I would have done 5, 1. That's how tricky the 2 is. See, this is a great passage where this order really fails, right? This order really fails. This order, that's why this is not a fixed order. It's a judgment. Be very careful with the passage 2. You with me on this? Because once you select it, when you're in it, it's like a black hole. You're gonna get stuck there. Because here you want to finish it, here you're gonna be frustrated, you don't want to get out of it. This is the perfect scenario where you're gonna tank your scores. Why? Because you're gonna eat your time. Now decide the remaining 2. What's the should be 2.
4.
I would have done 4 too. I would have done 4 too. That's how important tricky can be too. So when you're observing the passage, okay, look at the tables and what's in the tables. Words are better. Alphabets combined like the 2 are the worst. I'm telling you, because they can be, it's not they're tough, it's just that you're so stressed and your focus should be so good, I might as well push it to the last. Yeah, is there a right, wrong answer? No, there is no right, wrong answer. It's about judgment. Got it? So, what's the order we wrote?
6, 3, 5, 1, 4, 2.
6, 3, 5, 1, 4, 2. Okay. So, what did we do for the whole day today? We only selected the passage. Next time we start with the science, we're going to go each passage and say, what's the best way to handle this passage? How to answer these questions? Then the next strategy is about how to answer a science test question. Okay? And when to skip. One of the worst things I've seen with students is they are hell-bent in finishing all questions. I never did that. I was good in skipping. Because every question is the same point value, right? So for example, the first question of each passage is the easiest. Right? It hardly takes time. I would rather get those correct than to try to answer a difficult one and may take more time and may make mistake. The skill in science, to some degree reading as well, is when to skip. and how much to skip. Reading, I skipped 8, first and last for each passage. 4 passages I skipped. I didn't even bother. Why? That's how I practiced. What you do during this should be exactly replicated in the real test. No ifs and buts about it. Until it turns out too easy or too difficult, you prepare for the middle, right? You prepare for the middle, and variations can happen which is beyond your control. Like October 2019, for example, turned out to be really hard, really hard. There's nothing you can do about it. But your preparation should be right, and you have to follow that. Sounds good? I'll see you guys next week. Hang in here. Lily will be here.